welcome back to the Weigh-In podcast we started a few weeks ago. Back into it. We've missed a couple of weeks, but we have been fishing the last week, and today Pablo was out there. So we've got Nath along with us for this one, who was out fishing with us last week. Nath, the owner of the Bully Butcher, and I met him on a trip up north fishing with Mick Embley, who's a good mate of mine. So
I just met him getting fat eating at his shop.
What's that?
I just met him getting fat eating at his shop.
Yeah, hit him up for free meat. So
he reckons, free meat?
he reckons no one can eat a sausage like you, mate.
Really? Is that what you're saying? No,
you're always in there asking for. No, if you got any 12-inch sausages,
he'd definitely know. He'd know. You got two shops, eh?
Yeah, two now. Yeah, yep.
Bully
and Kingsley. Yeah.
Kingsley's our local, well, my local one.
Best meat in town if you're looking for some meat. So,
other than me.
But anyway, let's move. Let's move on to fishing, mate. So you lived up in Derby for how long?
3 years we did there. Yeah, so 10 years ago now.
10 years ago, and so you mainly been fishing for Barra, or is?
Yeah. So Barra's what's got me hooked on fishing. So.
I noticed your Barra skills, by the way. You're holding the TOD in the video. It was it took him a little bit to get the hang of it, but you can tell that you're a Barra fisherman because you're holding it down here.
No, honestly, it was like
I've never caught a Barra, so I can't say. I'm not skilled enough to do this sport.
No, you get the hang of it pretty quick because if I can do it, most people could.
Especially up in Derby. No, it's not like that though, because it isn't as easy as it sounds. I don't reckon, because even the fact of using live bait and that, there's skills in, especially up there, because. I'll put it this way. I went up there with you two, and it's croc-infested Malcolm Douglas waters, and there's you two idiots, like chest-deep water, creek crossings with the throw net, going out there to get bait, and I was just sitting back going, there's no fucking way you'll see me out there doing that. So
he was telling me you like walking into like chest height, throwing nets.
Yeah.
And there's like crocs and shit. Yeah, fuck that.
I don't know. I'm more worried about catfish. Standing on a catfish or something.
Really? Why? They got a spike,
they got spikes.
The catfish up there, not like the American style.
Yeah, to get out of the creature comforts of your little silk sheets in Perth, I think, mate.
Get some mud on you.
If it's crocs, I ain't going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but no.
I would like to catch a Barra. Yeah. Do you use liveys or do you use lures? What's your preference up there?
When the water's dirty, we use liveys.
And when it's clean lures?
Yeah, clean
And you
lures.
take tinny up there? Are you land-based? What are you doing?
For the first couple of years, I didn't have a tinny, so I used to just backpack and just walk. And
do you get as good fish land-based as you do on a tinny, or is it you get better fish on a tinny?
I don't know. You do, because even when you have a tinny, you go fishing on the bank. So you use a tinny to get from A to B, or if you got a tinny, you're casting at the bank. So, Yeah, it's weird. It's
So what's your biggest Barra?
121.
Is it bigger than Mark's?
It would have to be.
121 is bigger than pretty much everyone's.
Like I know that people go on about meter, like once you crack a meter, it's big. So 121's massive.
121, yeah.
That's total overall length, eh?
Yep. And I've got 7 now over a meter.
7. Fuck.
Yeah.
All right, I know people that catch GTs to the fork at 120, and they're like stoked with that.
Yeah.
Barra, and tell us about the 121. Where was that? Or you don't have to give away the spot, but was
I just get my pen. Can I have the GPS link?
was it off the bank? Or
that was off the bank. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
so not even out of a tinny?
It's about this time of year. So, it was about this time of year. So stinking hot, sitting on a muddy bank. It was sort of, if you go within a metre of the water, you sink down to your waist in no time. And it's not comfortable. That's why, you do those hard yards, it always seems to pay off.
So you're actually wading in croc water to catch these fish?
No. So we stand way back where the mud's firmed up a bit.
Yeah.
But anywhere the tides hit, you walk up to it and you sink to your waist.
Yeah.
And you're up there recently, and Mickey probably would have nudged the 120 mark, eh?
But the one he dropped.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
That was the biggest fish I've seen,
Really?
The biggest Barra I've seen, for sure. But, easily.
Yeah.
And
because there's a funny story about his first meter as well. So I actually wouldn't mind running this past you, Pablo, to see if you think that this counts. So he lived up there for what do you reckon, maybe 10 years or 8 years?
Oh, yeah, probably 8 at that stage. Yeah.
8 years, and he was out there fishing with another mate of his. The guy that actually he was fishing with was the bloke that took me when I got my first ever meter Barra. So that was up in Derby. And anyway, Mick's fishing off the bank. He's hooked the fish. You come in if you think I miss anything here. He's winding it in, and he realises, this is a metery. He's stoked because he's been fishing for 8 years. Halfway in, the guy that he's fishing with is like, I'm winding in, I'll get my line out of your way. And as he's doing that, the hooks onto Mick's line, and Mick is like flipping out, going, fucking get it in, get it off, mate, get it off, like yelling at him. And it gets in closer to the bank. Mick, like with the tension of his line, like the hooks come out, like loses the fish, and his heart sinks. The other guy's hooks into the Barra.
Serious?
Serious, mate. And then the other guy is on, and he's like, nah, swearing it. And so the last 3 meters of the fight, this is a true story.
Yeah,
eh?
this is true.
I've seen the actual last bit of the video. He like winds it up on the bank, and then Mick's sitting there, and the guy's like, your fish, mate, your fish. And he's like, get fucked, like, spat the dummy. And then he's like, I'm getting a photo with it. Yeah. And he sent the photo through, and then you hear the story.
I don't think that's probably never happened in fishing before.
Whose fish is it?
It's the guy who hooks the fish.
No, it's the guy that lands it.
Nah. It's the hook in the fight.
Nah.
If you've, I disagree. If you've hooked the fish, that takes skill. Then you fought the fish for a certain amount of time. You dropped the fish. Yeah, you fucked up.
Yeah.
You dropped the fish. But at the end of the day, you did the hardest part
But
of
you
the
didn't
work.
land the fish.
Doesn't matter.
If you're out there looking for fish for a feed, like if you're a survival thing that comes in, he's the one that eats.
If he's a better fighter, he can just knock the other guy out and take his fish.
Well, he probably would. Anyway, that's his first meter Barra, but I don't think it counts.
Yeah, no, I think he's snagged a couple since then though.
Yeah, he's got some good fish.
Yeah.
Well, the other one he pulled out, same thing, like big croc waters. It was maybe up around 120 or 116, and he had to go swimming because it got snagged and it was jumping out from that snag.
Yeah.
Oh, seriously, like wrapped around and you could see it jumping in the snag.
Yeah.
He was like well above head height water, and it's like proper croc country.
And bull sharks too.
Yeah,
There's plenty
true.
of those, yeah.
Fuck
We
that.
got
And
plenty
bull
of them
sharks
last
are
time.
aggressive.
Yeah, yeah.
They are angry.
Me and my brother, because he lived up there, he caught it his first meter Barra, and we were in there waist deep water or even further, and we put this Barra back, swam it, and then 2 minutes later we see a bubble and sort of like blood on the surface. Well, oh, what's that? And we snagged it with a lure. It was his fish. It was
Serious?
bitten in half, yeah.
Bull shark.
Made a
Don't
fish.
think
yeah.
about bull
Because a
sharks
croc
as
would do
much,
that. That's
do ya?
what a whole.
Oh, it
That's
would
a
have been
shark.
thrashing and all
yeah.
sorts, but this was just popped up.
So it's
nice
literally
and
just a
calm,
shark
yeah.
just been them.
No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah,
But
so
that's probably literally waiting for you to release that
oh,
fish.
mate, yeah, honestly, yeah.
Well, there'd be that many of them.
Yeah.
How'd you find trolling for mackerel your first time? Because that was your first mackerel, wasn't it?
Yeah, yep, yeah. So we've seen plenty up in Derby, like just sort of travelling to and fro, but didn't know anything about them. So, yeah, I thought it was going to be like a big Barra, which
Well, the fight's a bit different, eh?
Yeah.
It's a lot different, eh?
Bigger.
I think Barra's a bit more of a technical fight from what I hear.
We'll let
jumping
Nath
and stuff.
talk about the Barra because he's actually caught.
I haven't. That's what I said from what I've heard.
Let's
Like,
do it.
it's
no,
definitely.
so yeah, like bigger gear, obviously, yeah, just but I haven't even really seen any action like that before, so I was out of sorts. I would have liked to have seen one of you boys drag one in first.
So even technically, you brought the fish in. It's my fish because I set the
Here we
spread.
go.
No, but
That's
I
how it
drove
works.
the boat.
It doesn't matter.
It does, mate. You pretty much.
If you drove the boat and I wasn't there to set the spread, there would be no fish caught.
Oi, Pablo,
Technically.
open the bail arm. Close the bail arm. That's all. Basically, it was a
shows that
charter.
you know that overheads that I have bail arm.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it was basically a charter for you. Me and Nath did all the work.
I
Yeah.
watched the boat.
So it's not even a charter for you. Yeah. Anyway, so I did all the work basically. I rigged up the night before, got the boys onto a couple of fish. But to be honest, I was pumped, because I have trawled this spot a couple of times and never actually caught one there. But I know I've got mates in that have caught them in that spot, and I was. Well, the whole story about it is we jumped in the water to jump on the boat early in the morning, and it was like, mate, this is so warm.
Yeah, it was warm.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah, and it was a warm day as well, so it really
And
was
overcast.
warm. Yeah.
Northerly, I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but it was that was the conditions anyway, and it was, we packed the rods, so we might as well go for a trawl. And once we got that first fish, I was sort of like, I'm half excited. Like, what do we do? Because trawling can be boring if you're catching nothing.
Yeah.
But we sort of hung around and got into a couple, which was handy. So
typical, I wound the smallest one in. Typical, I'm the one who hooks the smallest fucking fish.
It went biggest to smallest, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It definitely did. It was good. It was good fun. When I first saw it was a Mac, I was like, oh fuck yeah, it's on.
Yeah, because there was you thought half a chance of being a sandbar.
Yeah, I thought just because where we were, like I looked at the sounder, and I thought that structure is what I'd go jigging for sambos on. So I thought maybe a sambo, but I guess it's the same sort of area. Like they're the same thing. They're both eating the same thing at the end of the day, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean the structure was there, but we actually got the fish out in the sand.
Did we?
Yeah.
The weird thing was there was not even any bait on the sounder.
No.
There was like nothing on the sounder. Did you look at the sounder?
Yeah. No, I was keeping an eye on it all day.
There was like nothing.
GPS points.
And his
Mate had his pen out.
so his lips moving,
Had
like
his phone out taking photos.
just as like memorising the numbers. It's just why are you so distracted at the moment?
And no wire. Like a lot of questions that I got from people was like, why aren't you running wire? Why aren't you running wire? I'm like, I don't reckon you need wire.
No, well,
if you're up north, you'd run wire because there's 1,000 of them.
Yeah, I've never really run. I have done it, and I haven't had much success. So it's basically, I think you just risk the bite off the bite. Really.
Yeah, and if you run a big enough lure, the chances of getting nicked off because they attack the head. So if you run a big enough lure where they can't get their mouth around the head and then nick the mono, then there's less chance of getting bitten off. Because their teeth are serrated, so they cut it pretty easy.
I probably should have used wire that last time we went barra fishing.
Yeah, that was half my bad though, wasn't it?
What happened?
I dropped it.
Mark caught a good fish.
Yeah, that actually was your fault. Yeah.
Oh, what do you think? The line was all chafed from the.
I caught a 90, I think, fish. He's pulled in a maybe a 105 or something like that.
Yeah, cracked the meter that trip. Yeah.
And then. Yeah, you wanker. You owe me a meter. And I said, there was a bit of chafe there, and he's more experienced barra fishing than I am, and I was like, Nath, what do you reckon of this, mate? Yeah. You'll be right, mate. Like, he's out there casting out. He's out there, gets a feel. You'll be sweet. And then I hooked the biggest fish my biggest fish of the trip was over a metre.
Oh, it was the biggest fish of the trip, yeah.
The biggest fish, that makes me feel bad, because there's 2 105s caught.
Yeah.
And dropped it.
Because of Nate's fuck up.
It was at our feet.
Really, it's your fuck up, angle error. Like, you should know better, really.
Wow.
Well, you can't tie your knots. Was Nate tying your knots for you?
Well, if Nath asked me if this was all right when we went mackie fishing, and I said, it's all good, and then we lost one, that's sort of the same thing. It wasn't my fault, it was Nath's fault.
I
was on the chart.
You step on.
Like, go fetch me another love bait, I'm out.
He would be like that too. Yeah. I guarantee he was like that.
I did feel bad. I think you got on not long after that fish, and remember Mickey pulled up in the boat?
Yeah.
And that's when I swam out, and I think he conked out. And I swam
That's
out.
right.
Yeah, and I was pushing the tinny away from Mark's line just to try to redeem myself.
That's not even the worst part of the trip. That's not even the worst part of the
yourself to a crop. It's a Mark's own fuck up for not checking his own leader.
The worst part of the trip happened about 2 hours later. The water cleared up there, and then we moved to another spot. And I put my rod in the sand and moved up to cast another one. And that rod went off, and I look back, and old mate's winding my fishing.
Well, it's not your fish.
It was my fish. It was in the sand.
He hooked it. He picked it up and set the hook. That's his fish. That's Nate's fish.
We're on
this conversation.
We're on here, and so anyway, I had a photo with that fish, and then put it back.
Well, you got a photo of Nate's fish of the mackie.
Yeah, mate.
I'll get a photo of this too. There's Nate.
It was like we said, it was a skipper's fish.
It definitely was.
It's the boat's fish. Anyway. So
trying to change the subject. Get yourself out of this year.
So I got another one after that, after Nath got his fish, and then you got one that we had to let go because it was undersized. So, and
that's
then
your fault. You got one that was undersized.
Well, if that's my fault, there was 2 hits which you didn't hook up down the back as well. So something was going on there. I don't know.
Your rusty hooks.
Yeah.
That's what was fucking going on.
Maybe. I will cop that because they were rusty. But then, yeah.
I'll put some photos up of those hooks too. Can you send me some photos? Because they were fucked.
Yeah, I will. Well, they did the job, mate. So
That's because you were doing 20 knots and you had 15 kilos of drag.
yeah.
You would have set a code name out.
So after that, we started moving on into the demersals.
That was tough.
It was hard, eh?
It was tough. That current was tearing.
So it was a strong fishermen up there, cray fishermen and that around sort of Two Rocks area. Call it a north tide. So it's like a southbound current, I think is the technical name for it. And it's usually when there's a northerly wind and that sort of stuff, you get a strong current and it just makes fishing hard, especially when you're fishing jigs. So you'll know this because you're getting a boat and all the rest of it, and it is hard to stay vertical on your jigs. So that's why basically we kept the boat in gear and backed into the spots.
It's a good way to fish when you're using jigs and plastics anyway, that is. But
It is a good way to fish. It's hard for the driver. So I did well to get my 2 demersals, which would take a couple of break seed cod that we got. I had to actually drop a bait down to get them. Just because of trying to drive and fish at the same time was a little bit hard.
then we ended up getting, I think, 4 dewies, just size,
Yeah, so
on jig. Yeah, they were all just size, but it was tough.
it was tough. We moved around most of the day. We went out wide to a wider spot. It was about 50 metres. Nothing really.
No, there wasn't even anything on sounder. It was
no
like
fish.
barren land. It was like fishing for whiting.
And then this is when Nath really stepped up and came into his own. And by the end of the day, he started giving you tips, I think, on how to jig.
Because Nath came in probably about, a week before?
Yeah.
Thereabouts. And he was like, I want a jigging combo. I want to try this fucking slow pitch shit. So I sold him a jigging combo. And how he didn't break it on that first Dewey, I do not know. Like, that rod was up over his shoulder. Like, and
like
with
a Barra fish.
Yeah, it was.
I was waiting for it to jump. Yeah.
He was like, I lift my rod up for the jump, you know? And like, I was like, oh man. And I told him when he bought it, I was like, it's a high-end Japanese, he bought a sea flow control jam rod. So it's quite a high-end Japanese slow pitch rod. They're built to work a jig, not to fight a fish. And Nate's got the thing up over his shoulder. I don't know how it didn't break.
So run us through his setup and what jig he was using.
So he was using a Oshijigger 2000, which is built for slow pitch. So it's a long handle with T-bar. How'd you find it? Did you find it comfortable being a Barra fisherman like this?
No, very.
It was good. And then he had a C4 control jam slow pitch rod. So like a high-end Japanese slow pitch rod with them. They're built like purely to work the jig. And you were running a deep liner VB, I think it was from memory. Put some photos up because you did get your first Dewey. And with slow pitch, with spin, you run 1 hook because you can't pitch the jig too well. With overhead, you run 2, and you saw perfect placement. So you get 1 in the mouth, and the other one normally pins behind the head somewhere.
Yeah.
Which is like, it was ideal. Like, actually, you nailed it like within 5 pitches.
Well, he nailed it. He got his 2 demersals as well. We were just 2 demersals shy of a bag limit.
We were waiting.
on.
Pity the skipper couldn't put us on
We
a
were
good
waiting.
fish.
There was a school of fish.
He went
down there,
everywhere.
mate.
The skipper
I
went
even lost.
everywhere.
I even lost a good one
No,
because I thought, I
you
can't
fought
put.
Australia for like 5 minutes. Oh, money out, money out.
No, it was. I lost
He
it.
was on Australia, wasn't he?
I lost it 2 metres below the boat, and basically I shook it off because I was like, well, I've got my 2 demersals. I need barbecue. So, how did you find that outfit and also jigging, like hookups, all that sort of stuff?
Unreal, yeah. I mean, there's nothing like, you're jigging for a while and then you drift past the spot. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got onto
Next
them.
minute, yeah, away you go.
And was this hookup straight away?
I think it was always a second jig.
Yeah, like hits the bottom, you do 1, and then on the second,
Yeah, next
then-
minute, yeah.
it's totally different because you get no feedback, hey, until you're
Yeah.
on a fish. Like, there's no, when you fish bait,
Comparison.
you get like a little bit, you feel nibbles and you get a bit of feedback.
Yeah, yeah.
But you don't, you must have hooked about 6 wrasse before that as well, I reckon.
Yeah, the poor buggers, yeah. I got that little Sambo too.
Oh, yeah, that was right. That's on the video. Have you seen the video?
No, I haven't.
The video's up and you get a little Sam away.
What do you call that thing?
Tiny one.
So, how did you find because they weren't big Deweys, so they're not going to afford as hard as what a decent sized one, but how did you find their fight for their size?
Yeah, I was, when they popped up on the surface, I was like, oh,
Is that it?
Yeah.
And in that shallow water that we fish, they go so much harder.
Yeah. They were,
Like,
they were pulling some line as well.
So generally with the Jewies, they'll first half of the water column, they'll fight pretty hard.
Yeah,
and then when you've got a good one, which the small ones don't necessarily do it, but the good ones, your line just starts floating out.
Yeah, and it
and
pops
you
up.
just see their head just go, like the airbag must just pop or whatever, and then you just see them, and it's nothing better than seeing it's like a barra when their head come out of the surface, and you see big Jewies' head just like they sort of half launch out of the water.
That's
just because they're full of air.
Yeah,
It's cool.
So any trips planned for yourself now, or what do you think?
Yeah, so over Easter, hopefully just back to the stomping ground up in Derby and Broome for
Barra?
probably 4 weeks. Yeah.
4 weeks?
Yeah, I got a trip with the accountant. He does a annual freshwater
We need to
trip.
get him as an
Can we get
accountant.
Yeah, I called him the other day.
Our accountant would ring us and say, "No, you're not going fishing. You need to work."
Yeah, I called him the other day to ask some financial advice, and next minute we were way off topic and we were talking about fishing for an hour and a half. I think I was on the phone for.
Yeah, right.
Planning this trip, yeah. So.
And that's just going to be off the banks and stuff like that, or
No,
is
so it's like a real remote Fitzroy River trip. So
Wicked.
take the tinnies and just go freshwater, and we sort of hunt the pools and some of the streams that run into the Fitzroy and Cherubin, and it's all lures as well. It's pretty hardcore.
Sounds amazing.
He's been doing it for 30 years.
Oh, so he knows the area pretty well.
Oh, yeah. And he said it's the fishing over the 30 years, it's getting better and better because of the restrictions on Barra and people letting the big ones go. So he just said it's on.
It's like not many people, like from where I know, I don't know a lot of people that target Barra, but the people I do know that do go Barra fishing, they don't really neck them, do they? They're all released, like from the customers we get.
The limits on them, so 55s, they got to be over 50,
and
then under 80.
under.
So
it's
It's a good way, really.
It's not a big range, is it?
Yeah, no, that's right. So before you know it, you've let on a good trip, you've let all your fish go. So
What's the bag limit for a Barra? How many are you allowed?
don't know actually. I think it's 2 per person. So
Yeah, okay.
A couple of, so obviously the Indigenous guys up there are allowed to
Yeah.
take, so like your heart sort of sometimes sink when you walk past and they've got 2 or 3 metre barra sitting there. It's going back for dinner, but they got every right to do that, That's
that's
the land
right.
of the country,
That's what
but
they do.
Yeah, they've chased me down the sandbank a couple of times when I'm releasing a big one. They're like, "Oh, what are you doing?
That's our dinner. What are you
I'm like,
doing?
quick, go. But no, even some of the local boys that we know, they're starting to let the big ones go.
Are they?
Really? Yeah.
Which is pretty cool to see. Yeah.
They're all hand line.
Nah, they're getting pretty hands on now. Like, they've got a couple of.
But that's when you know it's starting to
Great
change. Like
castles
when you're
and-
fishing for food and you're using hand lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
When you want to start letting fish go and you're enjoying the fun and you're enjoying it as a sport, that's where
Mate,
that's
hand lines are fun. Have you?
Are they though?
Well, mate,
I've
actually,
fished with
you've been-
hand- I have fished with hand
So
lines.
barra still my favourite fish to catch. By a country mile. I love catching barra. I don't know if it's something to do with just the fact that we don't get them here, and I think it's mainly that you can be fishing like a small shallow creek that's flat calm, and you pull a fish that's over a metre or up to over a metre. If your line's not chafed off, out of like a pond on light gear.
Like how wide are the ponds? How big are they? You talking?
Remember that we got stuck at closer to the mouth of the river at that time, and I walked all the way across that. It was only waist deep.
Yeah,
the whole
right.
way, and it was only, don't know, like the size of an average size swimming pool. The whole
Yeah,
fishing,
okay.
Yeah.
So when the tide, that's the thing with low tides and that,
It's in real
all the
narrow.
fish have got to congregate in those those deeper pools. So
Yeah.
but then your tide rushes in, and literally it's like a tidal wave coming. You can hear it coming from a kilometre away. You know?
Yeah.
Water and bait just barreling in. Yeah,
That's hectic.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And then I witnessed a butcher's filleting skills, and I witnessed a butcher do filleting.
I think you've summed that up pretty well.
That was like, you're filleting. I said to Nath, you can fillet a fish because you're a fucking butcher. And he goes, I'm pretty shit at it, mate. That was fucking so good. He tried to make it out like he was shit at it, but
He was standing back a little bit as well.
Yeah, I wanted to watch.
Wow, mate. Yeah, there was nothing to watch, especially the mackie fillets. The skin is hard to get off,
It's
eh?
paper thin, yeah.
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 So I made hard work of that.
we could see through his frames, and your frame.
Nah, mate, you could read the newspaper through my Dewey frames.
No way.
You could, mate. The Dewey frames I did were good, the Mackies. I butchered it. It was a bit like my gaff job on the
I think Steve saw the video and he said, why does Mark look like he's swinging an axe?
Mate, I don't know what it was,
It was
but
that nervous feeling, hey, on the boat, I think.
Because you got no wire and you see the Mackie come out, you just want the gaff in it.
There's some rookies bringing it up to the boat. And I was,
when he was holding the reel below the...
And the line keeps going slack.
Nah, he actually did a good job winding in. The reason I was stressed is because the last Mackie we hooked fishing, we lost it halfway in. So I reckon I'd reached the gaff probably 1.5 meters underwater before it was even on the surface. But I was pumped once we got it in.
no, it's all, yeah,
It's a good feeling on the boat.
You almost expect to get shark too. It just seems natural after to being a bit further north, but
Yeah.
it's nice not having to worry about them.
Did you eat the Mackie?
Yeah, I did.
How'd you do it?
that night? Just pan fried it with a few, a bit of flour and a few herbs and stuff. It's
good?
Spices, yeah.
Because a lot of people don't like Mackie, and I'm like, well, you haven't eaten it properly.
No, yeah.
Because I reckon it's good.
Even the wife's real fussy, but
She didn't mind
she
it?
hooked in.
You
Yeah.
eating the dewy yet?
Nah. I thought it might freeze a bit better, so have
Yeah.
it in the freezer.
Yeah, freezes better. Mackie still freezes good, not as good as dewy.
Yeah.
Dewy freezes good.
Just the firmer texture. I like most fish, especially when if it's fresh or you've caught it or
Yeah.
whatever. But we had, I think, fish tacos or something with it, and it was like that's for that sort of stuff as well. And chucking it in pastas and that, I think Mackie's as good as they come.
I love Mackie.
Yeah.
I reckon it's awesome.
How'd you go
Fries good.
today? Did you get one?
No.
Tell us what happened
I just pulled lures for tuna all day.
out on the ski.
Yeah, I took the ski out this morning. We had a nav light on it, like a stick-on nav light, so it could go out at night. So I thought I'll put the ski in the water at 5, so I can start heading out towards Rotto because I wanted to go towards Rotto. Anyway, I put the ski in the water and it was hot. It was like no wind at all, and I had like the weatherproof jacket on, so I undone my life jacket in the marina, taken my weatherproof jacket off, lifted the hatch, put it down. And there's no fucking nav light. And I see it like floating over there and it's underwater. So I had to kind of wait for the sun to come up.
Mate, get in the water.
Nah, fuck that. I ain't getting in the fucking water. Not even in the marina am I getting in the water.
Yeah, the water in the marina it's pretty off-putting. But
And it was pitch black.
So, and what about the fishing?
So yeah, I shot out over to head towards Rotto. There was bait everywhere.
I did see the video
Like
of that.
I'm talking, like there was birds smashing bait and it was glassy. So you could see into the water and there was just like football fields, like acres of silver scalies. There is just acres and acres and acres of bait. So like literally scalies, I think they are, or muleys. They're just everywhere. There's birds working them. Absolutely everywhere.
What?
Just
So
everywhere.
tuna.
Like
What sort of tuna were they?
stripies and southern blues.
Yeah.
The stripies.
Mate, I wouldn't mind a bit of sashimi.
Sorry.
Right now to go with it.
You know what? I would have, but I didn't take any ice.
Mate.
And then someone said to me, "What if you got a Mackie? What were you going to do?" I was like, "Neck its throat, chuck it in the esky, drive back to the marina."
So do you reckon there's Mackies getting around there?
Well, like where I fished is in like 25 meters of water, 30 meters of water on sand. Well, it might be like limestone.
If the bait's there, they've
There's
gotta be
bait there,
getting
so
around.
there's got to be tuna. I fished 160s today, laser pros, so a smaller lure to match the scalies, and I hooked tuna. So I reckon next time I'm going to troll the biggest lure I can find.
Yeah.
Because
Mate, guards.
yeah,
Get the garfish on
I
them.
just reckon that the tuna were hitting the small lure.
Yeah.
So I've got to go up a size, I reckon.
Mate, I've trolled guards before up north.
They kill it.
Oh man,
Guards kill
unbelievable. Yeah, some of the
But the
like the
bait-
Mackies and that.
The bait was just ridiculous. There was bait everywhere. Like it was on the surface. You could see them like feeding on the surface, like just like slowly, and then you could see them when they were getting busted up by tuna, and it was just like, like
Should've
just.
taking the Rapala extra Magnum out there,
Yeah,
mate.
but you
Isn't that
left
what-
it in your box. You
No,
wouldn't give it to me.
mate, we got it. Are we not sitting in a tackle shop right now?
Yeah, we are. I don't want to just take it off the shelf.
Had a couple like that.
Yeah, did you bring your wallet?
But yeah, like the birds were smashing them, like they were jumping out of the water. I didn't see any free jumping fish. Like I saw tuna, like smaller jelly bean, southern blues,
Yeah.
like tearing up. So I was tossing up, like I trolled till about 6:30, 6:45, and I was like, oh. I messaged Clousy from Jazz. He was like, oh, I'm over near West End. We've got like 20 pinks. Come over here and just fish my burley.
Yeah, right.
And I contemplated it, like, because you get in that ski on a day like that, you get there in like fucking 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it'd be so quick. But then I thought, there's that much bait here.
Yeah.
I just put the time in trolling for nothing.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like we were saying before, the difference between trolling can be can be one fish, and then you've had the best day ever, or
Yeah.
no
And if
fishing
you're
and all
not,
the
if
rest.
your lures aren't in the water and you're
Same
not
with
doing
Barra.
it, you're not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly the same.
And if you're not fishing, then if I pulled up stumps and went over and chased pinkies, then I would never knew if I got a mackie.
Yeah.
You know, like it's one of those things. Same with marlin fishing. Like a lot of people, metro, like go out chasing marlin. They're like, oh, I'm gonna go out chasing marlin. I'm gonna do a deep drop, but they end up putting their lures in for like an hour and a half, and they go, oh, this is boring, and they go deep dropping for the rest of the day. And I'm like, oh, we didn't get any marlin. We only pulled lures for an hour and a half. Yeah.
That's the thing with fishing. Like I get that whole thing if you've only got one day to go out there and catch some fish and have a crack at something, but if the beauty of it, I think, is you got to pick a target species, and like if you're really keen on getting one, put the time in and come in with the blood trail between your legs for the 3 or 4 days or week or however long it takes to actually get one. You know, so
I'll probably change it up a bit next time. I don't think I'd fish there. There was a lot of bait when I came back in, like on the 3 mile.
Yeah.
And there was birds on that, and it was a bit shallow. I was like 18 meters just behind the 3 mile. So I might fish that next time, like the back of that, and just cruise south.
we need Nath to get a ski. That's what we need. The butcher shop ski.
Yeah, the butcher shop ski.
I reckon.
No,
So no, refrigerated.
Mind, yeah.
It's a refrigerated truck.
Yeah. Doing meat drops all out to the cray boats.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
for sausages.
Because it would be way better if there was 2 out there. So there is a shop next door. We'll take you in to meet the owner.
Fishing off the ski is so cool.
Yeah, it would be good fun.
Like it's awesome.
What about could you get them up north? Do you reckon? Like
The ski.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I want to do. I want to go up and get a barra. Like because even like you were talking before, the tinny going from bank to bank.
Yeah.
Like when the outboard's hitting the sandbanks and all that sort of stuff, and you're having to lift it up, and like you could just pin it with the ski, and you'd just be.
They do say don't operate it under a metre of water.
Yeah, but who's gonna? It's a jet. Like who's gonna do that?
Listen to that?
No, I know, but yeah. No, I wasn't. When it breaks, you say it's underwater. I wasn't. No, it was 2 meters. I promise. Yeah.
But it's so good to fish off. Like you can just hold the spot so well.
The Fishpro in Derby, I reckon, would be spot on because they come with everything now, like anchor. They got and you can knock them in gear and you can literally stay in the one spot.
that's unreal.
I should be working over at
got
Seadoo
troll-
right now.
Yeah, I reckon
Control
you've sold
mode.
it.
Yeah.
Troll mode.
Yeah.
So you can just set it. I couldn't figure it out today. I tried. I did it last time and I did it, and today I couldn't get it to work. So I got to ask David because you just got it so you can hold the throttle pinned and it'll just sit on 10 knots or 8 knots or whatever you set it to. And I did it last time because I was playing with it and I could not get it to work today. But that would have been handy because I kept. I got the hang of it after a while, but I couldn't figure it out. So they're cool.
Have you got any other fish on the bucket list, mate, that you want to tick off?
No, big Dewey I want.
Yeah.
Up north I want to get a metre plus 3D. That's one thing I haven't got.
They good eating.
The big 3Ds are
Broom's
unreal.
a spot for that, isn't it?
Yeah, Broom's good.
What is it? The fingers across Roebuck Bay there? I think that's where they fish from. Yeah.
Yeah, and you go out there,
I've
you see
got a meter there, actually. I didn't want to say anything. I've got the photo. I'll show you later.
and,
I know exactly where they are.
I might have to get you up. You just scored yourself.
Yeah.
No, but apart from that, locally, I mean, Mackie's would have been on the list. So that's
Spoken about
that was
Mulloway
easy.
as well.
Yeah, I want to get a Metro Mulloway. Yeah,
I've
probably
only ever
the
caught
nearest
Mulloway
thing
on
to-
jig, like out deep. I've never caught a land-based Mulloway.
So if you get a ski or a tinny, you got a tinny.
Yeah.
Maybe we could try and put that one down in the list of things to do this year is to try and get a Mulloway out of the river.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Max.
you can rig up,
Gotta
stay
hit
at the
up
shop,
Maxi.
and then
Yeah, pretty much.
Nah.
I'm just gonna drill a
Maxi
hole in the
Sampson's
bottom
an
of the.
absolute gun. He works on jazz and that
Yeah,
now,
it works on jazz.
but he's got them dialed in, man. He'll go some mornings and get half a dozen, just
In the river.
Yeah,
Flip
like,
the plackies alive, bait.
he gets my plastics and everything.
Yeah, that'd be unreal.
So,
I think there's more Mulloway in the river. Or unless we're just getting better at finding them because the technology's better.
We'll
But
get them on the beach. Yeah, I think that
they used to be called the Ghost of the Swan, and now they're like regularly caught.
Yeah.
It's like we were talking about with the deeper holes and that with the Barra. Like once the tide goes out or whatever, I know the tide doesn't change like that in the Swan, but like once you know where they are, they're pretty residential. Like they're in a location. It's a matter of getting the conditions right and actually catching them.
Yeah.
So that's some. I don't know. Is there anything else? You got salmon?
I want to.
Yeah, got plenty of salmon before I moved up north. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Used to get amongst them and. But yeah, even
Like,
a bit of beach
like
fishing and that.
southern salmon, like normal salmon.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, okay, not like blue nose salmon.
No,
So-
no.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yep.
Salmon run's about to begin, so
Yeah, no, they're always good fun too.
Yeah.
So, little bloke's coming of age now, so yeah, it'd be good to get him on.
We've got a salmon night here on the 31st.
Yeah.
Mark's doing a talk about salmon.
I've got a couple of salmon before. I don't know if I'm an expert on it. I'll be here.
Regfish West are coming too.
Yeah, that'll be good.
So they're
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Alan from Ocean Legacy, Ando from ASWB. So
Yeah.
there's a few people talking about salmon. It's like massive. Like it's probably one of the like biggest fishing periods
Oh, it would be.
like in Perth.
I
Metro.
had the numbers. I've forgotten it now.
They
but
did, yeah.
the amount
Regfish
of-
West did like a thing on it
Yeah, like the amount of millions of dollars that it is to
generates.
tackle. Yeah,
Yeah.
to
it's
the
ridiculous.
southwest region.
That's awesome. Hey.
Like they included in it like travel, fuel, car expenses,
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
amount of
camping
money.
gear, accommodation, breakfast is allowed, like tackle.
Yeah, of course.
It was
Except
like it was in the
except for last
billions.
year, hey.
Yeah, it was gone. We didn't have one last
Yeah,
year.
that salmon slam. I think they're running that competition now.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, we got the salmon stand in the shop, so if you want to come down and grab some lures,
Some salmon lures. We've got small lures coming as well.
feel free. All right, and what's the plan over the next few weeks then? Try and get another podcast up in the next
Yep.
week or so. I think I'm looking at maybe going fishing later in the week, which will be good. Hopefully, we've got some pots out at the moment as well, so I'll try and pull them and see if there's any craze
Might
around.
take the Seadoo out again.
Yeah.
The Fishpro out again on the weekend.
And what are your plans, mate?
I'll be up in Broome hopefully in a couple of weeks,
You
and
dog.
and
Yeah.
I'll disappear for a month and hopefully come back with a couple of stories.
What's your favourite steak as a butcher?
Scotch?
Scotch?
Yeah, yeah. Can't
It's
go
good,
past
eh?
it. Yeah,
I
nice
always
and
wanna know
fatty
what a
and
butcher reckons.
full of marble. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
Scotchies.
Scotchy's 12-inch sausage for Tyrone. I'll have the T-bones. All right, we'll leave it at that. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll hopefully be back in another week or so with another podcast. We'll try and get them up more regularly. Been saying it. But yeah, we're going to do it. So we'll hopefully be fishing a fair bit and we'll catch us then.
And thanks, Nath, for coming in for the podcast.
No,
Cheers.
no, thanks.